In a recent article on Basketball Insider, Spencer Davies argued that loyalty is becoming a rare quality in the NBA. Are NBA stars becoming less and less loyal to their teams? In the article, Davis wrote, loyalty is turning to a rarity. The hunger to compete for a winner is at an all-time high. The desire to be marketable for some plays a huge part in deciding a future. Few guys are patient enough to go through a rebuild. But is it really fair to expect players to be loyal to their teams? Let's ask Spencer Davies of Basketball Insider. Spencer joining us live via Skype from Cleveland. Spencer, good morning and welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back on, Mico. Appreciate it.
Very interesting article that you wrote for Basketball Insiders. You're tackling the concept of loyalty. Spencer, is it fair for fans to expect their superstars to be loyal to their teams in this day and age?
It's just a different story here in this day and age. As I mentioned, before I got even into the arguing point of my article, you think of one team, say the Los Angeles Lakers, you come up with Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant in an instant. You think of Atlanta Hawks, you think of Dominique Wilkins. You have all of these franchises linked to these players who, stuck around for a long, long time, even if they finished off their career somewhere else when they were older. You could even, say, like, you think of Miami Heat, you say Dwayne Wade, even though he's not there anymore. But I just don't think it's going to be like that anymore going forward, too much at least. There's not many Dirk Nowitzkis left. Damian Lillard has already had this sort of loyalty to the Trailblazers that a lot of other superstars don't show. If Russell Westbrook signs that extension with the Thunder, he's going to be there for a while. So it's just it's dependent on the situation they're in, and players just want to win now. And with all of these teams getting so much better, like the Warriors and the Rockets, and so many more, there's just a lot of impatience to stick around with some young guys that are trying to find their way rather than a finished product and ready to go get a ring. Is it somewhat sad that it is harder to have players be identified with one team now? Because, I guess players now, they have a choice. Maybe players 20, 30, 40 years ago did not have much of a choice compared to what players have now. But is it somewhat a sad situation that fans will not be able to identify superstars with just one team? It just depends on what your opinion is. Around here in Cleveland, we always thought that LeBron James was going to be that guy to stick around forever, and then he goes off to Miami to join up with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and then they did their thing in Miami. And what was sad around here was that he spent the majority of his prime years in Miami and then came back, and everyone around here thought that he might have lost a step. Now we know that's not true because it's LeBron James. But I think you're going to see a lot of people in their prime, jetting to better situations if they're not happy. And it's a truth that it really just depends on what you think of loyalty in these other teams. So personally, I don't have a problem with it because these guys got to look out for themselves. I mentioned in the article about Danny Ainge and Isaiah Thomas. We all know the situations that Isaiah Thomas has gone through, and also, stepping onto that court after all of that terrible stuff happened with his family. And he ends up getting flipped in this Kyrie Irving trade. And again, that's not a shot at Ainge. That's just the nature of the business. And it is 100% a business. That is what the NBA is.
I'm glad you brought it up because, loyalty works both ways. It's loyalty by the player to the team and loyalty by the team to the player. Are we going to reach a point, Spencer, wherein the concept of loyalty will be something that cannot be used, cannot be looked at as a genuine commodity in the NBA?
Yeah, I think we are trending in that direction. I mentioned Dwayne Wade earlier. When he was in Miami, he took all of that pay cut for that Big Three era. And Pat Riley promised him something that he didn't deliver on, so Dwayne Wade went another way. We always thought he was going to, retire a member of the Miami Heat, and that didn't happen. There are other examples all throughout the NBA with players who are tenured to their teams. I think I mentioned in the article, who's going to be the longest tenured player with a team other than Udonis Haslem when he's gone from Miami? There's just so many options for these players nowadays, and like I said, marketability and all these other sorts of factors play into it.